commitment of Lyndon Baines Johnson. And he tried to advance the civil rights legislation. He really wanted an equal opportunity program. It was blocked by the Southern Democratic senators. And what he ended up with was the welfare system. That's not what he wanted. He wanted an education program, economic development program. He wanted a program that could create economic equity so that the gap of poverty could be closed, but it was filibustered by the Southern senators and ended with a compromise, and the compromise ended up being the welfare system. And now you know the rest of the story. That was not his vision. If you go back and read the legislation he was trying to advance, that was not what he wanted to do. That's the best he could get out of the whole situation. But he had a genuine concern about trying to help the least that are among us. Jesus is concerned about how we deal with the least that are among us. And I believe this nation is going to be in for a rude awakening. Every time there's a great tragedy, we develop what I call telescopic philanthropy. We can have compassion from people that are many miles away. And we ought to respond to the tsunami in Southeast Asia as we did. And we ought to respond to the earthquake in Haiti. And we ought to be concerned about the 500,000 or to 1 million children in Haiti that are made orphans as a result of the earthquake. There were already almost 400,000 orphans before the earthquake. We ought to be concerned. But we also ought to be concerned about the 500,000 kids in this country that's in the orphanage or in the what called the social welfare foster care system, many who are abused and neglected and sexually assaulted. We ought to be concerned about those children, over 2 million of them, that appear before judges and probation officers because they come out of families where there's substance abuse and where there's domestic violence and where their spirits have been broken and where they've been overexposed to too much sexual perversion and all types of strange things. We ought to be concerned about those kids in our own neighborhood, in our own community. If we help them, then they might be able to help us to help the people that are far away from us. And so this becomes an opportunity for this nation to do a real self-examination. Are we responding to the pain and to the heartache, to the disappointment and the brokenness of the children in this country right here, the United States of America? And start with West Virginia, that has the largest child abuse and neglect rate of any state in the United States of America, right here in West Virginia. And we turn a deaf ear to it. And so I would say to Delegate Craig Black, which I've written him a letter, and say, look, if you're concerned about people taking drugs, then just go down to the magistrate office where you have hundreds of domestic violence petitions filed every single year and see how many of those as a result normally of a man who is abusing substances and then beating up his wife and children. Go and help them folk. Go to the juvenile justice system where we process 7,000 kids through every year. 90% of them have a substance abuse problem. We ain't got to go looking for people to try to find out who's taking drugs. There are enough who are showing up asking for help. Showing up asking for help. If we respond to their needs, and we might be able to begin to address this problem. But we're going to fabricate up legislation that's going to stir the emotion of people, that we got to go in and catch all of these welfare frauds who are taking their welfare checks and buying drugs with. It's legislative nonsense. It's a smoke screen to keep from dealing with the real issues that are pressing upon us every single day. 5,000 children in this state whose mama or daddy or both are locked up in the prison system. And they're headed right behind their parents unless there's some intervention in neighborhoods and community. And we're talking about passing a piece of legislation to drug test welfare people. It's nonsense. Utter nonsense. It's a waste of legislative time. And we, the people, ought to respond with an outrage for this type of nonsense. And we're not dealing with the real issue. Or you got to read between the lines. Read between the lines. The schools are in shambles, yet we blame the parents for the problem. It's not all the parents' fault. It's not all the parents' fault. Latest study, West Virginia ranks 45th in the United States on the percentage of kids passing the AP test. Now, some of y'all know what the AP test is. It's called advanced placement. This is the creme de la creme. These are the doctors, the lawyers' kids, the engineers' kids. These are the best minds in the state, but they 45th out of 50 states. Is it their parents' fault that when they are compared with the brightest kids in the nation, they're 45th out of 50th? Now, we got a major structural problem, ladies and gentlemen, a major structural problem. But it's the kids normally in our neighborhood who suffer the most, because they don't have access to the resources to try to address some of the problems. Y'all pardon my passion. When you see what I see on a daily basis, some of you would have this type of passion too. When you're looking in the face of the next people that's going to kill people and rape people, some of you would have this passion too. And when you see it almost impossible to move people to even try to do anything about it, but yet we got time to write legislation to drug test people who receive a welfare check. Now, I'm just trying to encourage you to think for yourself. That's what education is. To think about what really these people are talking about down there. Look at the bills they're introducing and see how many of them really deals with any issue that we really have that's going to make a difference. Well, let me move on. This angers some of you. I understand that. But my job is to make you uncomfortable, to challenge you to look at really what is happening and to think about it. We are supposed to be Christians, the salt of the earth, the light of the world. We're supposed to have the enlightened minds. We're supposed to be to understand things and see things as they really are. And it's reality we got to deal with. Well, for those of y'all who are not concerned about social justice, let me just get back to this Bible study right here. So all the nations will be gathered together before him, and he will separate them one from another as a shepherd divides his sheep from the goats. He will set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on his left. And then the king will make a declaration. The king will say, verse 34, to those on his right hand, "Come, you blessed of my Father." Oh, those are sweet words. "Come, you blessed of my Father," he will say to those on his right hand. Those who Matthew refers to as the sheep, "Come, you blessed of my Father." And after this declaration, the king will then make a commendation to his sheep. Verse 35, he says, "For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you took me in. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me." So here the king basically is dealing with just the basic necessities of life: food and water and clothing and habitation and access to health care. Isn't that interesting? That Jesus was talking about access to health care. I was sick, and you took care of me. Now, just read the newspaper. Now, there's another article in the paper just about how much money the health care people made this year and how much the health insurance is going to go up. And we're going to live long enough, and we all going to need it. And how the Medicaid reimbursement is going down. Y'all better read the fine print. That they're not paying enough, reimbursing enough. And so what's going to happen is doctors are not going to want to take care of older people because there's not enough reimbursement they're going to get. I don't know which side of the equation you're on, but something has to change. I don't know what the right answer is, but I know we can't go where we're going with the system we currently have. So Jesus deals with access to health care. He said, "I was sick, and you took care of me." Live long enough, you're going to get sick, and I'm going to get sick, and somebody's going to have to take care of us. He said, "I was in prison. I don't like to go see people in jail. As a matter of fact, I don't even like to get mail from people that's in jail. But I get it every week. I get it every week. I hope I never have to go to jail. I'm claustrophobic. I came in the bathroom for so long, I got to get up out of there. I don't like to be in no enclosed space where I can't get out. Definitely, you got to have a window somewhere. I got to see some light. I want to know whether it's light or dark outside. But if I go to jail, I hope somebody will come to see me. That somebody would say, "Well, old boy, we ought to go at least see the old boy, go give him a letter or something, send him a care package, do something." Jesus, I was in prison. And you came and visited me.